has been based on thousands of people over a long period of time in BP doing the right thing. And we are doing everything we can to do the right thing. We are going to stop the leak. We're going to clean up the oil. We're going to remediate any environmental damage. And we are going to return the Gulf Coast to the position it was in prior to this event. That's an absolute commitment, and we will be there long after the media has gone, making good on our promises.
And once you've done all of that, will you be paying the dividend to your investors?
We're going to take care of all of our stakeholders.
Yeah, so they will get a dividend.
We have to take care of our Gulf Coast stakeholders. We have to take care of our investors. We have to take care of our employees, our retirees. We're going to take care of all of our stakeholders.
The dividend is due in July, I think, end of July. Is it going to be paid?
That will be a decision for the board at the end of July, when they will take all of the circumstances and issues into account in making that decision.
I mean, quite clearly, President Obama wants you not to pay that dividend, or at least only to pay it if you've upped what you're offering to shrimp farmers and people around the coasts.
Well, what we have done so far is to pay every claim that's been presented to us. Mm-hmm. And we will continue to do that. The most important thing in terms of claims today is to ensure that people who can't fish today have the wherewithal to feed their families. And we've taken a claims process that has taken 45 days traditionally in the United States and shortened it to 48 hours. It takes 12 seconds when you phone the BP claims line to be put into the process, be given a number. If you turn up at a claims office within 48 hours, you're given a cheque, you take it to a bank and you cash the cheque. We are going to continue to do that.
It's been already an expensive process, to say the least, for BP. People are talking about $20 billion by the time this is all over, an almost unimaginable amount of money. If it was that kind of money, and your commitment is open-ended in that sense, then we really are talking about the future of BP, aren't we?
As I said, BP is running very well today. It's generating a lot of cash. It'll generate $30 to $35 billion of free cash flow this year. We have a very strong balance sheet, very low level of debt, low gearing, a strong set of assets. We have the financial strength to see through this, and we have the determination to do the right thing, to rebuild our reputation.
I don't want to, further sort of dump on a company in such trouble, but you've lost a third of the value of your balance sheet already, and this could be a commitment that goes on for, I don't know, years and years and years in the future. We've
lost a third of the value of our market capitalisation. That is a very different thing from the value of our balance sheet.
Yeah.
And as I said,
but a lot of investors, even more important, of course.
The company is financially very strong. It has the wherewithal to weather this storm and to come back strongly.
And so when you read in the papers today that, you could be a takeover target, other companies are circling you and all the rest, I know that you have more important things on your immediate agenda, but how do you respond to that?
I'm focused on the response. The most important thing in all of this is to stop the oil coming out of the well, eliminate the leak, control the oil on the surface, defend the shoreline to absolutely minimise the environmental impact to the maximum extent possible. Taking care of that will take care of the future.
We talk about companies in the abstract, but of course they are sort of families as well. What has this been doing to BP as a family, as a group of people, human level?
Everyone in BP is devastated and heartbroken by this. I am, and everyone in BP is. And everyone in BP is determined to do the right thing, to make this right. And that is stop the spill, clean it up, remediate the environmental damage, and make good the livelihoods of the people of the Gulf Coast. We are part of that community. We have thousands of employees who live on the Gulf Coast. We have even more retirees who retire to the Gulf Coast. We will be in the Gulf Coast, making the Gulf Coast good and right, long after the media has departed. That is an absolute commitment.
And can you give an absolute commitment that you will be there, overseeing all of that?
I have an absolute intention of seeing this through to the end.
Some of the American initiatives on this are about criminal prosecution as well as civil prosecution. Is it possible that BP staff members, maybe senior members, maybe even yourself, will end up in court and possibly even in jail?
I think all of that's for the future, really, Andrew. I'm not, we'll see what happens in the future. As I said, for the moment, myself and my team are focused on the response.
But you must be braced for that.
I'm focused on the response.
When you look back so far, I mean, I think you would concede the PR hasn't been handled perfectly. You've made comments which have caused outrage in the States about wanting your life back and all of that kind of thing. Is that because you are basically an engineer and an oil man and you find yourself pitched into what has been a highly political media firefight?
I'm certainly not a politician, and what I've learnt out of this is that comments that were well-intentioned, taken out of context, come straight back at you.
Yeah.
I've had a big learning over the course of the last 3 or 4 weeks. I'm certain it'll help me in the future. I've apologised for things which I've said that clearly weren't intentioned, and that's all I can say, really.
And do you feel you've got the backing of your board and your chairman?
I've had very strong support from my chairman and from the board. A number of the board members have visited the operations several times in the course of the last 3 or 4 weeks. The chairman has been out for 2 extended visits to oversee the operation, to see what's going on, and they've been extremely supportive.
Has President Obama actually spoken to you himself?
I've spoken with a very large number of his immediate...
but not the main man?
I haven't spoken to the President. I don't feel I need to speak to the President. I've spoken to his key lieutenants who are overseeing this operation, along with BP. And I would stress that
would you like a face-to-face?
There is no need for that, I don't believe. But the working relationship between BP and the federal agencies involved in this has been exemplary, I believe. We've worked hand in hand. There is a brains trust working on this in Houston. The great scientists and technologists from the US, from BP and from the oil and gas industry are working on the subsea operation. As people have seen, this is a very complex, deeply technological challenge that we're facing, and it's been fantastic to see the cooperation that has occurred.
All right. Tony Hayward, you are in the middle of the vortex. Thank you very much indeed for taking the time to come and talk to us this morning.
Thank you very much, Andrew.
And now over to Louise for the news headlines.